Washing girlfriend's undies. Hey everyone, I want to share a little story about a sweet surprise I planned for my girlfriend. So, my girlfriend and I are both 25 years old, and we've been together for about 3 years now. She works as a nurse, and lately she has been super busy and stressed out. With her demanding job, she hasn't had much time to tackle chores or even do laundry. I, on the other hand, work an essential job as well, but I had a few days off coming up. I thought it would be a great idea to surprise her by cleaning our entire place and taking care of all her chores. You see, she tends to get anxious when our home is messy, and I wanted to help ease her stress. As I was planning this surprise, I noticed that she had a bunch of underwear and bras that she usually washes by hand in the sink. She was running low on clean ones, and I thought, why not wash them for her? It would be a nice gesture, right? But then I hesitated. I mean, these are intimate items, and I was concerned about the potential embarrassment for her. Some of them had period stains and other natural marks that come with everyday life. I decided to reach out to the wonderful community for some advice. I wanted to know if it would be okay for me to wash her underwear, or if I should just stick to cleaning everything else and leave that task for her. The responses I received were overwhelmingly supportive. Many people encouraged me to ask her first, which I thought was a good idea. One commenter even provided some great tips on how to wash delicate items properly, like using cold water for period stains and avoiding wringing them out to maintain their shape. I was grateful for the advice and felt a bit more confident about my plan. After reading through the comments, I decided to text her and ask if it would be okay for me to wash her underwear. I was a bit nervous, but I wanted to make sure she felt comfortable. To my relief, she responded positively, saying, "Thank you, that would be really nice, but you don't have to do it. I know most guys find it grody, so it's okay, I can do it myself." I took that as a green light and got to work. I started soaking her underwear in cold water with soap, just as the commenter suggested. I was really glad I didn't go with hot water, as that would have set the stains. I also learned not to wring them out, which was a common mistake I had made in the past. As I washed her things, I thought about how she had experienced some not-so-great moments with previous partners who made her feel embarrassed about these natural aspects of life. I wanted her to know that she never had to feel ashamed or uncomfortable with me. I just wanted to support and love her. After I finished, I was pleasantly surprised by how many people had reacted to my post. It seemed like my little gesture had resonated with a lot of folks. Many expressed that they wished they had someone like me in their lives, and it was heartwarming to see how important these discussions are. I felt a bit of sadness for those who had shared their experiences of feeling judged or lesser because of natural things that happen in life. It's a shame that society can sometimes make people feel that way, and I wanted to apologize on behalf of those who have let women down in that department. In the end, I was just happy to do something nice for my girlfriend and show her that I care. It's the little things that can make a big difference, and I hope to continue being that supportive partner she deserves. Thanks for listening to my story. Have you ever found yourself in a situation that seems a bit awkward, but also kind of sweet? Well, let me take you on a little journey about a guy who decided to wash his girlfriend's underwear. Yes, you heard that right. So it all started when my girlfriend had a particularly tough week. You know how life can throw curveballs at us, and sometimes we just need a little extra support from our loved ones. I wanted to do something nice for her, something that would bring a smile back to her face. After some thought, I decided that cleaning up the house and doing her laundry might just do the trick. Now, I know what you're thinking. Washing someone else's underwear? That's a bold move. But hear me out. I figured it was a simple act of kindness, and I wanted to show her that I care. So I rolled up my sleeves and got to work. I soaked her underwear in the sink, making sure to clean the sink thoroughly beforehand, of course. Hygiene is key, right? As I was washing, I couldn't help but chuckle at the thought of how some people treat their delicates. I mean, there are folks out there with special soaps and bags for washing underwear in the machine. I just threw everything in the wash on cold and hoped for the best. It was a bit of a gamble, but I was determined to make this work. After a while, everything was hanging up to dry, and I felt a sense of accomplishment wash over me. I had transformed her laundry into a clean and fresh pile, ready for her to enjoy. When she finally came home, the look on her face was priceless. It was the first genuine smile I had seen from her in a week, and let me tell you, that made all the effort worth it. Of course, I had my moments of doubt. I had posted about my laundry adventure online and received a mix of reactions. Some people were supportive, while others were a bit harsh. But in the end, I realized that I was doing this for her, and that's what mattered most. If anyone had a problem with it, that was their issue to deal with, not mine. So there you have it, a simple act of washing underwear turned into a heartfelt gesture that brightened my girlfriend's day. Sometimes it's the little things that can make the biggest difference. And who knows, maybe next time you find yourself in a similar situation, you'll think twice before shying away from a little laundry duty. After all, Love is all about those thoughtful gestures, even if they involve a bit of laundry.
Am I the bad guy for leaving my declining parents after I went from daughter to a 24/7 unpaid caregiver? I love my parents deeply, but the last 5 years of caregiving have transformed our relationship and left me emotionally and physically drained. About 5 years ago, my spouse and I moved into my parents' house to help them during their elderly years. I had already been driving 30 miles almost every day to check on them and cook meals. They had extra space, and we agreed to this arrangement because we wanted to support them, keep them out of a nursing home, and provide loving care. At that time, my dad had just retired, and my mom was relatively stable, managing her bipolar disorder with medication. Fast forward to now, and both of my parents are in their early 80s. I work from home, as a business owner, so living with them seemed like the best solution. My siblings and I had agreed to share the responsibilities, with me holding medical power of attorney and another sibling managing finances. I opted out of financial control because I didn't want to juggle both caregiving and their finances, especially given my mom's history of manic spending. However, everything changed. My dad now suffers from severe dementia, is nearly blind, almost completely deaf, and relies on a walker. My mom has also developed dementia, which has led to aggressive behavior, paranoia, and frequent lying. Our household has become a chaotic mix of caregiving and family life, with 6 people living under one roof. My husband and I cover nearly all household expenses, with my parents contributing a mere $400 a month for groceries. They own the home outright and receive Social Security and a small retirement, but they can no longer manage daily living tasks. We handle everything from cooking and cleaning to doctor appointments and personal care. It often feels like we're running an unstaffed nursing home. We even had to separate their accounts to protect them from scams, as my mom was experiencing manic spending episodes. Our grocery bill can reach $1,400 to $1,500 monthly, and safety has become a major concern. My mom wanders the house at night and has let the dog out at 3 a.m., sometimes forgetting to lock the door. Both parents have experienced multiple falls over the years. Despite our original agreement, most of my siblings provide little hands-on help. One sibling lives with us, but works long hours, while another has a disabled child and limited time. The third sibling rarely visits and believes my mom can make her own decisions, accusing me of trying to control her. This has led to significant tension, and I now only communicate with that sibling when absolutely necessary. Over the past year, my mom's behavior toward me has become increasingly hostile. She interrupts my business meetings, leading to lost contracts, and has even threatened to call the police and falsely accuse me of abuse. She tells family members that I scream at her and try to control her, which is simply not true. Her illness creates a strong need for control, resulting in constant conflict. I feel less like a daughter and more like unpaid staff, which has taken a toll on my emotional well-being and my marriage. Our 16-year-old daughter is also affected, as we cannot leave my parents alone, and they often treat her like staff, making demands without any gratitude. Sometimes she is forced into caregiving roles that feel unfair. Medication management is another serious concern. My mom requires 32 pills a day at 4 different times, but she cannot safely handle her medications due to past overdoses and a prior suicide attempt. After 5 years of trying to make this work, my husband and I have made the difficult decision to move out. Realistically, without us, my parents will need professional care, and they cannot afford the level of assistance they require. This decision is incredibly painful, and I feel overwhelming guilt. However, for my sanity, my marriage, and especially for my child, I know I cannot continue living in this unhealthy environment where I am constantly accused and undermined with little support. Am I the bad guy for wanting to leave?
Wife, 27F, and I, 27M, can't agree on how many of our alma mater's football games to attend this fall. She wants to attend less game, I thin. I never thought I'd find myself in a debate over football games with my wife, but here we are. My wife and I both graduated from the University of Georgia, and let me tell you, we are die-hard football fans. Every fall, we've made it a tradition to attend every home game, thanks to my dad's generosity with tickets. It's always been the highlight of my week, filled with tailgating, catching up with old friends, and of course, cheering on our team. As the new season approached, I was excitedly discussing our plans for this year. I had some fresh ideas for our tailgates and was ready to dive into the season. But then my wife dropped a bombshell. She wanted to cut back on the number of games we attend. Now, there are 7 home games this year, plus a road trip, and I had my heart set on attending at least 8. My wife, on the other hand, thought we should limit ourselves to 3 or 4 games. I was taken aback. How could she want to miss out on this? To be fair, she is pregnant, and by the end of the season, she would be about 7 months along. I understood that she might be feeling a bit overwhelmed, but I couldn't help but think that we'd have plenty of time to prepare for our little one after the season ended. Plus, we could always do some of that planning in the evenings or on Sunday afternoons. This was our last chance to enjoy the games before our lives changed with the arrival of our baby. I felt strongly that we should make the most of it, but despite my reasoning, we were at an impasse. Neither of us was willing to budge. I started to consider a compromise. What if I suggested that she attend 3 or 4 games while I went to 7, skipping the road trip? It seemed like a reasonable solution to me. But as I shared my thoughts with friends and family, I quickly learned that my perspective might not be the most considerate. Many pointed out that I was prioritizing football over my wife and our baby. They reminded me that this was a significant moment in our lives, and I needed to be more supportive of her needs. I realized that I might have been a bit too fixated on maintaining my streak of attending every game since I was 15. After reflecting on the feedback, I decided it was time to have an honest conversation with my wife. I realized that her suggestion of attending 3 to 4 games was already a generous compromise, especially considering her condition. I needed to show her that I valued her feelings and our growing family more than my football tradition. So I approached her with a new mindset. I suggested we aim for 5 games, but if she felt strongly about her original number, I would accept that, and I was ready to prioritize our family over my football obsession. In the end, I learned that while traditions are important, they should never come at the expense of the people we love. Football would always be there, but this season was about more than just the games. It was about embracing the changes in our lives and making memories together as we prepared to welcome our little one into the world. And who knows, maybe next year we'll be bringing our baby to the games, starting a whole new tradition together. It's funny how life can throw you curveballs, especially when you least expect it. I found myself in a bit of a pickle recently, trying to navigate the tricky waters of football season with my wife. We both graduated from the same university, and as any devoted alumni would, I was looking forward to attending our alma mater's football games this fall. However, my wife had a different perspective. You see, she wanted to attend fewer games this year. With a little one on the way, her priorities were shifting, and understandably so. But I couldn't help but feel that skipping out on these games was a mistake. I was determined to convince her otherwise, thinking that the thrill of the game and the camaraderie of fellow fans would be worth it. As I started to voice my opinions, I quickly realized that my enthusiasm was not being received well. It was a classic case of me wanting to relive the glory days while she was focused on the present and the future. I found myself overwhelmed by the responses I received when I shared my thoughts online. It seemed like everyone had an opinion, and many were quick to point out that my priorities were a bit misguided. The next day, after reflecting on the feedback, I decided to have an honest conversation with my wife. I knew I had to apologize for being selfish and for putting my desires ahead of her needs and the needs of our growing family. It was a humbling moment, realizing that my passion for football was overshadowing the more important aspects of our lives. When I spoke to her, I expressed how lucky I felt to have such a caring and selfless partner. I acknowledged that she had been more than generous in allowing me to attend 4 games, but I came to the conclusion that I should have been more considerate. I suggested that I would limit myself to just 1 game, the highly anticipated matchup against Alabama, and assured her that she wouldn't have to attend if she didn't want to. I also promised that if anything came up, I would gladly miss that game. To my relief, she appreciated my willingness to compromise. We talked for a while, and it became clear that this arrangement made her much happier. I realized that while I might miss the excitement of the games, my responsibilities at home were far more important. In the end, I learned a valuable lesson about balancing my passions with the needs of my family. It's easy to get caught up in what we want, but true happiness comes from understanding and supporting each other. As football season approaches, I'm ready to embrace this new chapter of our lives, cheering on our team from the comfort of home, with my wife and little one by my side.